So I'm sitting on the couch because I'm injured again. And I didn't really do anything specific that I know of. I was trying to do everything right. I was trying to eat better. I was making smoothies. I was going to this place called the Stretch Lab, where you pay someone to stretch you out for half an hour. I got this app on my phone called Dynamic Runner. A lot of, injury prevention stretches and strengthening. Wasn't doing as much as I should, but me, someone who used to never stretch when I was younger, not very much. For me, it was a big step, and everyone was taking notice. Like, wow, he's actually doing things. Foam rolling all the time. All these things, and dealing with injuries. Really, my first big injury was 2018 when I was 32 years old, and ever since then, I've had a lot of injuries, especially the last 3 years. And, it's one thing or another. It's never the same thing, but it's all sometimes a little bit related. Like it's a sign that you're doing too much, or I'm just getting old. I don't know. I just can't. I never was very durable. I never did high mileage ever. So that's not, anything different, but I just can't take the same things. I feel like the name of the game is modifying your training to what you can do. And I have been doing that ever since I came back this time, trying to get into marathon shape to do a marathon July 14th before the baby comes in September. And, it wasn't going well. I was sick for on and off for 5 weeks and ran through that. And then I had a really epic, the problem is when so much time goes on between each video, I have so many things to recap. It's hard. It feels like a very jumbled video with just all my thoughts just kind of all coming out at the same time versus like an actual story with a timeline. So I apologize for that. But anyway, I, got into good shape, doing some trail runs, getting ready for races. And I did have some races I talked about in my last video, 2 races, one in April, one in May. But then I had a race on this, back to going to trail races again, because last year I won $1,100 in prize money in trail races. So this year I was hoping to do better than that, especially now that I know the circuit and I know which races are good and what pays what and which ones I would be better at based on the course. So I had this one coming up, and I got really into hardcore trail running again, pushing the hills, everything. Had some great runs, feeling good. Went out and did this Strava KOM, somewhat close to my house, but never done the trail before, up this mountain. And I got the KOM going up, and I got the KOM going up and down, even though I didn't push it on the way down because it was hot and I didn't have any water. So I kind of cruised on the way down, and I got the top time by 2 minutes on the climb, but on the way down I lost a lot of time. So the round trip that's 15 miles and 3,500 feet of climbing or something, I beat him by 1 second. 1 second. If I was that guy, I would be pissed. But I was happy. I was like, oh, what a good run, whatever. And then, next day, my hamstring was hurting me so much. I've dealt with hamstring issues for a long time. Nothing new for me. But this was like a fresh pull. Couldn't even it was hard. I was dragging my leg walking around. It was painful. Couldn't run. Had to take off. I couldn't do anything. Bike, run. My hamstring was so bad. I tried to take off. I think took off 5 days. And then I was okay, I want to come back, but I still can't run. I couldn't extend my leg like a normal stride. So I had my wife put on a KT tape. Haven't used that in a while. And that definitely helped. It definitely helped. It helped me get the confidence back and to actually go out and run. I didn't feel smooth. I felt very uneven, like a wobbly table, but I was able to run, kept my fitness going. And yeah, I mean, maintained through all the injuries and the illnesses and everything, just maintained my fitness really well. And, you know, did a little bit of cross training on the bike. And I thought, okay. But because of all these setbacks, I doubted if I could race in July. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for this marathon, because I build marathons. I put marathons on a pedestal, and I never think I'm good enough or fit enough. And I always feel like I could do more. And you want to give yourself more time. Like, oh, just give me a few more months. Like I'll train like crazy, but it never happens. Something always comes up. You know, it never happens. I end up doing the same shit that I always do. And so eventually I was like, you know what? Like maybe I'll just do it. I'm running out of time anyway before the baby comes. And so I was like, I'll go out and do, I haven't done this in a while because I was sick. When I was sick, I couldn't like do high heart rate stuff. Like mileage is one thing, like keeping about 50 miles a week. That's decent. It's okay for me. I'm happy with that. It's, you know, it's the bare minimum for marathon training, but it's enough for me. But I hadn't done any long runs, especially like long, hard tempos, like, you know, hour to hour and a half hard. So like to get really ready for like the marathon, like grind. So I was like, I need to go out and do something. And so I was like, I don't know exactly what. I'm thinking like half marathon, maybe 15 miles. So I go out and run. I don't know exactly what my plan is or where I decide on my course. Like as I'm running, I decide where I'm going to go on my run. I don't plan anything. But anyway, it was going well. I was trying to run marathon pace, which I didn't know what that was because I hadn't run that pace in a while. But just trying to find like a groove. But my hamstring still wasn't better. I just had to tape it up. But I was able to run at least. But I felt a little bit like jerky. Didn't feel smooth like you normally would. And so it takes a lot of mental power to like push on through that. Like every run I was like, okay, just get it done. And then, you know, when you do that, you have imbalances, you start compensating. So, you know, my knee was already an issue. It started hurting during the run. Kept contemplating quitting, but I was like, no, like this is a day I'm running well, I'm running fast. I feel good other than like my imbalance in my stride. I feel good cardio wise. I'm going to keep going and push through it, be strong. It's hard to determine like when to push through an injury or whatever setback and when to back off. It's almost like you have to be like a raging bull that just charges, or you'll never be great at anything. It's hard. Like, how do you have that? If you have that like reservation of like, I can't push it too hard. Well, when you need to push hard, you're too soft to do it. Like you always have to be tough. I feel like it's hard to find that line between being tough, but not being so tough that you're detrimental to your own health. Anyway, I pushed through the run. I could have gone longer, but my knee was bugging me. So I settled for a half marathon. I ran a 1:15 high, which was great. I mean, just under 2:32 marathon pace. And my average heart rate was like 167, which is under marathon heart rate. Now, granted, it's because the last few miles I picked it up. My heart rate went up. But, I mean, the first 10 miles was pretty smooth in the sense that, like, I felt like I could keep going. I probably had like 4 or 5 miles left in me that day at that pace, I think, at least. But I felt good about it. I was like, okay, you know what? This resets my whole self-image. Like, I think I can do this marathon. I just got to be able to hold. I figured I'd run a little slightly slower in the race. I'm like, okay, I could probably do like a minute slower per half marathon, like 2:34, 2:35. Okay, I'll settle for that. Like, I think I'm okay, you know. But then 2 days later, the after effects of that run, not only did my shin was like excruciating pain, like hurt to walk. Like I was like, what the hell? I thought it was shin splints, but I've had shin splints before. It's not usually that bad. It was bad. And then my knee, IT band, like tightened up. It was hard to bend my leg. Like I was limping around. It was awful. And for a few days I couldn't do anything. And then eventually I could kind of walk again, but the pain was like, you know, kind of still there. Couldn't run, couldn't do anything. I think I took 6 days off and I was like, damn it. Like you can't take 6 days off like 2 weeks before a marathon. Like that's terrible. You're not doing the taper yet. Like that's terrible. So I was like, okay, fine. You know what? I'll get back into it. after a week off, and I'll push my marathon back to like August, the latest I could possibly do it. And I tried to run again. I made it mile and a half with minimal pain, and then, which I thought my knee was going to be the issue, right? Because my shin wasn't hurting that bad. It was mostly my knee. But after a mile and a half, my shin started hurting more than the knee, and by 2 miles, it was really painful, and at almost mile 3, I had to stop and walk. And after that, it hurt to walk. I had to walk home, and it was terrible. And yeah, and then it was really bad. For a few days after that, I couldn't even like it's bad when you push yourself so much that like it affects you outside of your activity. Like there's so many times of like I've gone too hard on a run or hurt myself, and I'm going to work and I'm like limping at work, or I'm like really sore or tired. People are like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure. I just had this crazy 20-mile run. I fell and tumbled, and I got up, and I'm fine. No big deal." Like just I've had so many like instances where that was the case, or like we had to like go and set up the nursery, the baby's room, and I was like limping the whole time. And so anytime she's like, "Okay, let's take a break," I'm like, "Oh, thank God." Like it was so hard to do normal things around the house. And it kind of like, I never had this clarity until I'm injured, because when you're in the moment and you're pushing yourself and you're getting fit and motivated, it's all you're consumed by. But when you have that clarity of like injury and like you have to take a step back and reflect, you're like, damn, like I got, this like running or exercise, like, habit, this, I don't know. Is it extreme dedication? Is it addiction? Is it like a blend of both? It's hard to say. I mean, there's definitely a chasm between like, a drug addict and a exercise addict. But I mean, there's something there where when you're doing something where it's like, even to your own, like the detriment of your own health, you're doing it because you feel like you have to. And I know you think like, oh, it's all positive, right? Because you're trying to improve yourself, trying to get better. But when you can't do it and you're cranky and like you're like all you're thinking about is like you want to go back and run or do whatever, like you have that itch, like it's definitely an issue too. And I don't know, I'm getting so many injuries. I'm getting very jaded by it, and I feel like I can't be consistent. And I'm usually someone who like follows through and does what I say I'm going to do. And in the past, and like the last few years, I've just been riddled with injuries and setbacks, and I've tried to like make comebacks, and every time I'm like, I had that small window where I get back into shape, where I'm pretty much where I want to be, like very close. And you just need like a few more like runs to prove it to yourself, and then you'll be ready for a race, and boom, I get hurt like every time, and you come right back down. So the best runs you have were like a month before your injury, when you didn't know that you were in good enough shape, and then you had some of those runs, you're like, wow, I'm actually fit, let's do a race. Oh, I'm hurt, like every time. And so I'm trying to think game plan for the future. I don't know what that means for this series, because I can't do a marathon if I'm hurt. I think I have a stress fracture in my shin, because it's still hurting, and it's been like a week and a half. It's pretty bad. My knee is a little better, but it's still not great either. I think, and everyone's different. Some people I follow this guy on Instagram that runs like 100 miles a week for like 6 years. He's still going, or something like that. He's crazy. Like certain people can do it, and that's great, more power to them, but others cannot. And running is really tearing me up. And I want to be able to compete. I want to do races. I want to be fit. And I can do these things, but it might not have to be in a sole running capacity right now, because I just can't do it. And also like with the baby coming, like who knows what my training's going to be like. And I just have to make compromises right now. And, I have a neighbor who was a competitive triathlete. Now he still does it. He still competes, but he trains less crazy than he did. And a lot of his triathlons, like some of them are like sprint triathlons they're like short swims, short bikes, short runs. Like you could pretty much do it without training. If you're an athlete, you could probably just jump in and do it. Obviously I want to be good at it, but I don't think I have to go hardcore to do well. I mean, when I was coming back from my ankle injury earlier this year, I remember my first run back, I did like a 5K and, 5:52 mile pace. And that was after biking like really hard. So I was tired. And it felt weird to run because I hadn't run in so long, but I was able to do that. Like, it's like your body doesn't forget how to run fast. Maybe you don't have the endurance and the muscle like strength to go like really long or to PR, but you can still run fast. And I think a lot of these triathlons, like it's like a 5K run. Like I could do that with no training. So right now, as I'm trying to heal and I don't know how long it's going to take, I'm swimming and I'm biking. Swimming again. I haven't swam in so long, years, so many years, to the point where my body has changed. Like I always thought I was skinny, and I have been, but I looked at old triathlon photos, like my wife was looking at them too, and like from, I don't know, 2017, 2016, 2017, 2015, like, 8-10 years ago. And when I was doing a lot of triathlons, and my arms and my body, I was big. I mean, for me, for a skinny runner, I was big. Now I look like an Ethiopian. Like I have no body fat, especially like my upper body. My arms are small. I still can like lift heavy things. I'm still strong, but like I'm so lean that no clothes fit me. Everyone says I'm really skinny. People make comments, and I never care because I like to be fast. And when you're a runner, you're like, all I need is my lower body. I could care less about my upper body other than my lungs so I can breathe. Like, who cares what you look like? I don't want to carry excess weight. But, doing triathlon training and like swimming, other activities like that engage other parts of your body is like probably a good thing. You'll look healthier. You'll probably be overall like better overall, all around like health and fitness. And I'll still better run fast. But and maybe that's why I'm getting hurt too. I'm just like too focused on running, like the one thing. I need to be more balanced. So, I mean, I never give up, obviously, but I'm going to not do this series for a while. Maybe I'll make other videos about something else. I don't know. I'm not really motivated to make videos, especially when it's not about like going towards a goal. So if anything, if I make another series or do something, it's going to be maybe triathlon related. I don't really know. I mean, on Strava, no one likes my activities if I do anything other than running. If I run, 50 likes or kudos, whatever. I bike, I get like 5 kudos. Like no one gives a shit. So you guys probably don't care either. But I don't know. Anyway, that's what's going on. In case I like to at least follow through with like updating on what's going on, because my race is supposed to be this weekend and that's clearly not happening. So this is my life now. Got the dog, the cat, and the baby. Yeah, this is my life. And also got my stress fracture ankle that never heals. Since my wife, near the end of pregnancy, she couldn't do much. And obviously when she had the baby, she couldn't do much and had to recover from everything. And she was kind of resentful, and rightfully so, that I didn't have any changes with this whole process of having a baby, and I could still work out and do my thing and go to work and everything. And so I would try to work out at the craziest times because I always had to be on baby duty, and she felt resentful if I was trying to work out while she was doing everything. So especially when I was gone at work, I was already gone for half the day working. I'm sorry, she's getting antsy. That's why I can't work out. Anyway, so after I tried to retain that, I'd work out like midnight while they were sleeping. But the baby doesn't sleep well when she's in the room. My wife's in the room because the baby thinks it's time to feed again. It's better if I'm in the room alone with her. So, anyway, yeah. And then I try to work out at like 5 in the morning, and like all these crazy times, I wouldn't get any sleep, get like 3 hours of sleep, and go to work and all that stuff. And eventually, it was putting a strain on everything. I just had to let it go for now. I don't know when I'm going to work out again, but like officially. So I'm a day off. Sometimes I can work out, but a lot of my working out now is just biking. I started commuting to work on a bike because with traffic, you know, the drive would take me like almost 20 minutes, and I can bike to work in like 25 minutes. So it's like, okay, extra 5 minutes, and I get to actually like be physical. So now I bike 100 miles a week, give or take, and it's mostly just biking to and from work. And there's some hills. It's like rolling hills, so I get a good workout, reasonably so. I can't be too sweaty to get to work, obviously, but I crush it on the way home because I don't have to be clean. And what else? Yeah, and I use like an old bike. I don't use like a nice bike, so it makes it harder. But my journey athletically, I have no idea what's in store for me. I'd like to run another marathon, obviously, because I never got to. I haven't done a marathon since 2021, and that's what's going on right now with me. This is my life right now. She needs more attention. I got to get off the phone. Maybe there'll be some stroller runs or something in the future, but for now, I got to go. Change the diaper probably.